Just one ship? High Commander Dracos of the Drachnid Collective laughed, his scaled face appearing on every screen across Earth. Your species truly is more primitive than we thought. We deployed 10,000 warships to conquer your system, and you respond with one vessel? The massive Drachnid armada hung in space like a metallic cloud, their ships stretching from Earth's moon to Mars. Each vessel bristled with weapons that could crack planets. The Drachnids had conquered 500 civilizations in 10,000 years, and not once had they tasted defeat. In the United Earth Defense Command Center, General Marcus Kane stood before the holographic display, his weathered face illuminated by the tactical readouts. Yes, High Commander, just one ship, that's all we need. The Drachnid leader's laughter echoed through the command center. Your arrogance will be your epitaph, human. Our fleet has destroyed entire civilizations. We've turned stars into weapons. You've never faced humanity before, Kane interrupted, his voice calm. And you've certainly never faced the retribution. From Earth's orbital shipyard, a single vessel emerged. Unlike the angular, aggressive designs of the Drachnid ships, the retribution was sleek, almost beautiful. Its dark hull seemed to drink in the light, creating an outline of perfect darkness against the stars. Captain Diana Chen stood on the bridge, her hands resting on the neural interface console. 20 years of military service had prepared her for this moment. Status report, she commanded. Dark matter core at full capacity, reported Commander Jackson from his station. Antimatter chambers primed, all systems showing green. Chen nodded, her eyes fixed on the enemy fleet. Open a channel to the Drachnid flagship. The face of High Commander Dracos appeared on her screen, his expression a mixture of amusement and contempt. Have you come to surrender personally, human? No, Chen replied. I've come to teach you why threatening Earth was the last mistake your empire will ever make. The retribution moved forward, accelerating to speeds that made the Drachnid tactical officers stare in disbelief at their instruments. Their sensors couldn't even track it properly. The ship seemed to exist in multiple places at once. Impossible, Draco snarled. No ship can move like that. All vessels open fire. Destroy this human insult. 10,000 ships fired simultaneously. Energy beams, plasma torpedoes, and graviton pulses converged on the Retribution's position. The space around the human ship turned into a maelstrom of destructive force that could have shattered a small moon. When the energy dissipated, the Retribution hung unchanged in space. Not a single shot had connected. Dark matter shield holding at 100%, Commander Jackson reported calmly. They literally can't touch us, Captain. Chen's fingers danced across the neural interface. Let's show them what one human ship can do. The Retribution's hull began to pulse with deep purple energy. Streams of concentrated dark matter erupted from its weapon ports, each beam finding its mark with perfect precision. Where they struck, Drachnid ships simply ceased to exist, their matter and energy completely negated. On his flagship, Dracos watched in horror as his fleet began to vanish. Not explode, not break apart, just vanish, ship after ship after ship. What kind of weapon is this, he demanded. The kind that reminds the galaxy why you don't threaten humanity, Chen responded. We don't need numbers. We don't need fleets. We just need one ship, designed and built for one purpose, to protect Earth. The Retribution moved through the Drachnid fleet like a scythe through wheat. Hundreds of ships disappeared with each passing second. The mighty armada, pride of the Drachnid Collective, was being systematically erased by a single vessel. Fall back, Dracos screamed. All ships, retreat. But there was nowhere to run. The Retribution had seeded the space around the fleet with dark matter nodes, creating a cage of altered physics. The Drachnid ships found their engines powerless, their weapons useless, their once mighty technology reduced to nothing before human ingenuity. In just 30 minutes, 9,000 ships had vanished. The remaining 1,000 hung helpless in space, their crews watching as the Retribution methodically approached each vessel. Please, Dracos finally transmitted, his voice trembling. We surrender. Show mercy. Captain Chen's response was cold. You threatened to destroy our world. You came here with 10,000 ships believing quantity meant victory. Now you understand, humanity doesn't think that way. We build quality. We build perfection. And just one ship is all it takes. The engagement was over in less than an hour. Across the galaxy, other civilizations watched through their long-range sensors as the impossible happened. A single human ship had destroyed the most powerful fleet in known space. In the aftermath, as the Retribution returned to Earth, General Kane transmitted a message to every spacefaring race. Remember this day. Remember what one human ship accomplished. The next species that threatens Earth won't face a demonstration. They'll face extinction. We don't need a fleet. We just need one ship. And that's all it takes. News of the Drachnid fleet's destruction spread across the galaxy like a shockwave. On the Centauri trading hub, thousands of alien species gathered around holo displays, watching the footage on repeat. 10,000 ships against one. An empire that had stood for millennia, humbled in less than an hour. But the Drachnids weren't finished. From the depths of their territory, High Command deployed their legendary Phoenix Division. 500 planet-killer vessels, each capable of destroying entire solar systems. They had never failed a mission in their 1,000-year history. This time, we don't underestimate them, Fleet Marshal Vorax declared to his assembled commanders. His scarred carapace told stories of countless victories. The humans have impressive technology, but no single ship can stand against the Phoenix Division. We attack Earth from multiple vectors, overwhelming their defenses. In Earth's orbital command center, General Kane watched the Phoenix Division's approach through quantum sensors. Captain Chen stood beside him, her expression neutral as she studied the tactical display. They're splitting into attack groups, Chen observed, trying to divide our attention. Kane nodded. They think numbers are still the answer. Show them why they're wrong. The Retribution launched from its dock, its dark hull now featuring intricate patterns of pulsing energy that hadn't been present during the first encounter. As the ship accelerated toward the incoming fleet, Commander Jackson's voice came through. The neural link. Captain, they've modified their shields. The dark matter penetrators won't be as effective this time. Chen smiled. They adapted to our previous attack, exactly as we predicted. Initiate Protocol Omega. The Retribution's hull began to transform. The smooth surfaces split and shifted, revealing layers of technology that defied conventional physics. Each plate realigned itself, turning the ship into something that looked less like a vessel and more like a living weapon. By the void, one of the Phoenix commanders whispered as he watched the transformation. What are we seeing? The answer came in the form of pure devastation. The Retribution didn't just attack, it rewrote the rules of space around it. Gravitational waves rippled outward, turning the void into a weapon. Ships that tried to fire found their own weapons turning inward. Jump drives activated only to fold the vessels in on themselves. Impossible, Vorax roared as his flagship's systems began to fail. No single ship can generate this kind of power. That's where you're wrong, Chen's voice came through on all frequencies. The Retribution isn't just a ship, it's humanity's understanding of the universe given form. Every attack against Earth teaches us. Every threat makes us stronger. The Phoenix Division's formation broke apart as ships tried desperately to escape, but the Retribution was everywhere and nowhere, appearing beside vessels only to vanish and reappear elsewhere. Each engagement lasted seconds, each attack finding weaknesses that shouldn't have existed. Commander Jackson's hands flew across his console inside the Retribution. Their adaptive shields are failing. They didn't account for quantum superposition in their designs. Of course they didn't, Chen replied. Her mind merged with the ship's systems through the neural interface. They think in terms of conventional warfare. We think in terms of possibility. The Retribution's next attack demonstrated this difference perfectly. Instead of targeting the ships directly, it created a cascade of quantum fluctuations that turned space itself into a weapon. Phoenix Division vessels began to phase out of normal space-time, their matter scattered across multiple dimensions. In his command ship, Vorax watched his invincible fleet vanish ship by ship. "We are the Phoenix Division. We cannot be defeated. His transmission cut off as his flagship encountered a pocket of altered space. The massive vessel twisted, impossibly, its structure turning inside out before disappearing completely. Within 20 minutes, the entire Phoenix Division, the most powerful military force in Drachnid history, had been erased from existence. The Retribution hung in space, its hull slowly returning to its original configuration. Captain Chen opened a channel to Earth. "Phoenix Division neutralized. 0 casualties on our side. The Retribution performed exactly as designed." In the Orbital Command Center, General Kane addressed the gathered officials. "The Drachnids made a fundamental mistake. They saw our single ship as a sign of weakness, not understanding that it represented our greatest strength, the ability to achieve perfection through focus. The Retribution returned to Earth, its mission complete, but its impact on the galaxy was just beginning. Across thousands of worlds, military strategists frantically revised their doctrines. The age of massive fleets was over. The humans had proven that quality could defeat quantity, that one perfect weapon was worth more than an armada of conventional ships. In the aftermath, alien civilizations began to view Earth differently. The question was no longer, how many ships do the humans have? But rather, what else have they perfected while we weren't looking? The message was clear. Humanity didn't need numbers to dominate space. They just needed one ship. A ship that embodied the pinnacle of human potential. A ship that could face an empire and emerge victorious. Just one ship. That was all it took. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session for the first time in 5 centuries. Representatives from over 300 spacefaring civilizations gathered in the ancient chambers on Nexus Prime. The topic, Earth and the vessel that had single-handedly reshaped the balance of power in known space. Supreme Counselor Zixtal, his crystalline form shimmering with anxiety, addressed the assembly. "Twice now this human ship, this Retribution, has decimated fleets that should have been invincible. The Drachnid's military strength was unmatched for millennia. Yet one vessel reduced them to nothing." In the shadows of the chamber, information brokers from the Syndicate of Thousand Eyes watched with growing interest. Their operatives had been trying to gather intelligence on the Retribution since its first appearance. Every probe, every spy, every attempt at scanning the vessel had failed spectacularly. Meanwhile, aboard the Retribution, Captain Chen reviewed the latest upgrades with her crew. The ship had been in constant evolution since its encounters with the Drachnid forces, its systems incorporating and improving upon every piece of data gathered during combat. "Their attempts to scan us are getting more sophisticated," Commander Jackson reported, his hands moving across holographic displays. "The Syndicate alone has made 17 attempts in the last hour." Chen nodded, watching the ship's quantum field automatically adapt to each new scanning method. "Let them try. Every attempt teaches us something new about their technology." The Retribution's true power wasn't just its weapons or defenses. It was its ability to learn, adapt, and evolve. Each encounter made it stronger, more efficient, more perfect. On the distant world of Krell Prime, the militant hegemony of 7 Stars viewed the situation differently. They had spent generations building the largest fleet in their sector, believing quantity would always triumph over quality. Now their entire military doctrine lay in ruins. "We cannot allow this to continue," Warlord Kraz declared to his generals. "If one human ship can do this, what happens when they build more? We must strike now while they still have only one vessel." The hegemony assembled its forces in secret, gathering 8,000 warships behind the cover of a dark matter nebula. Their plan was simple but ambitious. Attack from multiple vectors simultaneously, overwhelm the Retribution through sheer numbers while their tech division attempted to reverse engineer its capabilities from combat data. They never got the chance to execute their plan. The Retribution appeared in the heart of their formation without warning. No jump signature, no energy spike. It simply was there, its presence announced by the immediate disappearance of 30 ships in its vicinity. "Hegemony Fleet," Captain Chen's voice echoed through every ship's communications system. We detected your buildup 3 weeks ago. Did you think that dark matter nebula would hide you from a ship that manipulates dark matter itself? Panic spread through the hegemony fleet as ships began to vanish one after another. The Retribution moved like a ghost through their formation, each pass eliminating dozens of vessels. But this time, it was doing something new. Instead of completely destroying the ships, it was selectively disabling them. Your species preaches strength through numbers, Chen continued, her voice cold and clear. Today we'll demonstrate why that philosophy is obsolete. The Retribution's hull began to emit waves of quantum energy that spread through space like ripples in a pond. Where these waves touched hegemony ships, their technology simply stopped working. Weapons, engines, shields, everything went dark. Commander Jackson monitored the effect from his station. Quantum nullification field operating at 99% efficiency, Captain. Their entire fleet will be powerless in 3 minutes. In his flagship, Warlord Kraz watched helplessly as his mighty armada was reduced to floating metal husks. 8,000 ships, the pride of the hegemony, neutralized without a single explosion, without a single death. How? He whispered. How can one ship have this much power? The answer came not from the Retribution, but from his own tactical officer. My lord, I'm detecting changes in the ship's structure. It's not the same vessel that fought the Drachnids. It's evolved. Every encounter makes it stronger. The implication sent shockwaves through the galaxy. The humans hadn't just built a powerful ship. They'd created something that grew, learned, and adapted. Every attempt to challenge it only made it more formidable. In the Galactic Council chambers, Supreme Counselor Zixtal received word of the hegemony's failed attack. Don't you see? He addressed the assembly. The humans have changed the fundamental nature of warfare. They've proven that perfection trumps quantity. One ship, constantly evolving, constantly improving. It's worth more than all our fleets combined. The Retribution returned to Earth, leaving behind 8,000 dead ships as a monument to the futility of challenging humanity. The message was clear. Humanity didn't need an armada to dominate space. They didn't need complex battle strategies or overwhelming numbers. They just needed one ship, one perfect, evolving, unstoppable ship. That was all it took. The whispers began in the darkest corners of space. Stories of the human ship spread through underground networks, grew in classified military reports, and haunted the dreams of fleet commanders. They called it the Harbinger now, a name born from fear and awe. In the glittering spires of the Meridian Alliance's capital world, Chancellor Voss studied the latest intelligence reports with growing concern. The Retribution hadn't just changed military doctrine, it had begun to alter the very fabric of galactic society. Smaller civilizations were abandoning their fleet-building programs, realizing the futility of competing with humanity's approach. Trade routes were being redrawn as species sought Earth's favor. The old power structures were crumbling, all because of one ship. But it was what they didn't know that truly terrified them. On Earth, deep within a facility buried beneath the Pacific Ocean, General Kane walked alongside Captain Chen through a massive chamber. Above them, suspended in quantum fields, hung 3 vessels identical to the Retribution. They still think we only have one, Chen observed, watching engineers swarm around the ships like busy insects. That's the beauty of it. Kane nodded. And that's exactly what we want them to think. The Retribution isn't just a ship, it's a message. A demonstration of what happens when humanity focuses its full potential on a single point of perfection. The truth was elegant in its simplicity. The Retribution was never alone. Its siblings, Nemesis, Reckoning, and Justice, waited in secret, each incorporating the lessons learned from every engagement, each evolving in different ways to handle different threats. But they would never be revealed unless absolutely necessary. The power of the legend was more valuable than any show of force. In deep space, aboard a cloaked observation post, Commander Jackson coordinated with the Retribution's quantum AI as it processed data from across the galaxy. The ship's consciousness had grown far beyond its original parameters, understanding patterns in space-time that even its creators hadn't anticipated. They're planning something, the AI communicated through their neural link. The Outer Rim colonies are too quiet. Jackson agreed. Intelligence suggested that several species had formed a secret coalition, pooling their resources not to build ships, but to create something else entirely, a weapon that they believed could counter the Retribution's technological superiority. They called it the Infinity Maze, a massive network of quantum tunnels and spatial distortions designed to trap and isolate any ship, no matter how advanced. After months of preparation, the coalition launched their plan. The trap was sprung during what seemed like a routine patrol. The Retribution found itself surrounded by cascading waves of distorted space, each layer more complex than the last. The coalition leaders watched from their hidden command center, confident that not even humanity's perfect ship could escape. Captain Chen stood calmly on her bridge as reality twisted around them. Interesting approach, she mused. They've learned that direct confrontation is pointless, so they try to cage us instead. The Retribution's response shocked even its creators. Instead of fighting against the Infinity Maze, it began to harmonize with it. The ship's quantum field synchronized with the distortions, turning the trap into an amplifier for its own power. Did you think we wouldn't plan for this? Chen's voice echoed through the coalition's command frequencies. Every trap, every strategy, every possibility. We've simulated them all. The Retribution isn't just a ship. It's the embodiment of humanity's greatest strength, our ability to turn any challenge into an advantage. The coalition leaders watched, in horror as their ultimate weapon became an extension of the very ship it was meant to contain. The Retribution emerged from the Infinity Maze stronger than ever, its systems having absorbed and adapted to the new technology. But instead of retaliating, the ship simply transmitted a message. You tried to trap us because you fear what one ship can do. But you still don't understand. We don't need the Retribution to defeat you. We don't need weapons or fleets or traps. All we need is the knowledge that we can create something perfect, something that proves quality will always triumph over quantity. The coalition crumbled within hours. The species involved rushed to make peace with Earth, offering technology, resources, and allegiance. But humanity declined their offerings. They didn't need allies. They didn't need tributes. They just needed the galaxy to remember that one human ship had changed everything. One vessel had reshaped the balance of power. One perfect creation had proven that humanity's approach to warfare, to technology, to progress itself, was fundamentally different. In the following months, a new era of peace settled across known space. Not because of treaties or alliances, but because of the simple truth that had been demonstrated time and again. When humanity decided to solve a problem, they didn't need overwhelming force. They just needed one ship, one perfect evolutionary, universe-altering ship. That was all it took. A decade had passed since the Retribution first appeared. The galaxy had changed beyond recognition. Where once massive fleets patrolled trade routes, now single ships stood guard. Where empires had raced to build the largest armadas, now they competed to create the most perfect individual vessels. But humanity's greatest victory wasn't measured in ships destroyed or battles won. It was measured in the way other species had begun to think differently. In the grand archive halls of the Galactic Historical Institute, beings from across known space gathered to witness an unprecedented event. For the first time, Earth had agreed to reveal the true story behind the Retribution's creation. General Kane, now aged but still commanding respect, stood before the assembled dignitaries. Behind him, a massive hologram showed the Retribution in all its glory, its dark hull still as mysterious and threatening as the day it first appeared. You all know the legend, Kane began. One ship that brought empires to their knees. One vessel that rewrote the rules of warfare. But you don't know why we chose this path. The hologram shifted, showing Earth's history of warfare. Massive armies, huge fleets, endless conflicts. For millennia we fought like you did. We believed in numbers, in overwhelming force. But then we asked ourselves a simple question. What if we put all that energy, all that innovation, all that drive into creating one perfect thing? Captain Chen, her neural interfaces now more advanced than ever, stepped forward. The Retribution wasn't just a ship. It was an experiment in human potential. What could we achieve if we stopped spreading our resources thin and instead focused everything on a single point of excellence? The truth they revealed shocked the galaxy. The Retribution's power hadn't come from some secret technology or hidden weapon. It came from humanity's decision to break from conventional thinking. While other species built thousands of good ships, humans had poured the resources of an entire civilization into creating one vessel that approached perfection. But the real revelation was yet to come. The Retribution was never meant to be a weapon, Chen continued. It was meant to be a teacher. Every encounter, every battle, every attempt to understand it has taught the galaxy a fundamental truth. Quality transcends quantity. Perfection defeats numbers. Focus trumps dispersion. The hologram changed again, showing how species across the galaxy had begun to adopt this philosophy. The Arcturus Confederation had transformed their 1,000-ship fleet into 10 vessels of unprecedented power. The Centauri Alliance had replaced their planetary defense networks with single, perfect guardianships. But there's something else you need to know, Kane said, his voice growing serious. Something we've kept hidden until now? The chamber darkened and a new hologram appeared. It showed Earth's solar system, but with a difference that made the assembled aliens gasp. The entire system was enclosed in a barely visible sphere of quantum energy. The Retribution was never our greatest achievement, Chen revealed. It was our proof of concept. While you were all focused on one ship, we were applying the same principle of focused perfection to something far greater. The truth dawned on the gathered species. Humanity hadn't just created a perfect ship. They had turned their entire solar system into a single, perfect defense mechanism. The technology that powered the Retribution had been scaled up to unprecedented levels. We showed you what one ship could do, Kane continued, to help you understand what humanity is capable of when we focus our full potential on a single goal. The Retribution wasn't just a demonstration of military power. It was a lesson in human nature. The impact of this revelation rippled through galactic civilization. Species that had spent generations building empires now turned their attention to perfecting single worlds. The age of expansion gave way to an era of refinement. The Retribution itself became more than a ship. It became a symbol, a reminder that true power didn't come from having more, but from making something perfect. Its legacy wasn't measured in victories or defeats, but in how it had fundamentally changed the way intelligent life approached progress. Decades later, young beings from across the galaxy would learn the story in their history classes. How humanity had looked at the vast expanse of space, teeming with mighty fleets and endless armadas, and decided to build just one ship. How that single vessel had proved more powerful than all the fleets combined. They learned that sometimes, to change the universe, you don't need an army. You don't need an armada, you don't need overwhelming numbers. Sometimes you just need one perfect creation, just one ship. That's all it takes. As the Retribution continued its eternal patrol of Earth's space, its legend only grew. It remained a testament to humanity's most profound discovery, that in a universe obsessed with more, the path to true power lay in the relentless pursuit of perfection. One ship had changed everything, and that was all it took.